Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, my little degenerates. It's your boy, Mr. Degenerate here, back at it again for another video. And oh my goodness, we did our top 5 worst movies of 2024. Now it's time for the creme de la creme, the amazing, the sensational, the epicness that is the best movies of 2024. These are, to me, some of my favorite movies of 2024. Whether that had to do with the movie just being fucking amazing, or I just had such a memorable movie-going experience with this movie that put it on the fucking list. So as always, there's going to be timestamps in the description box below, so if you just want to skip around to whatever the fuck one you want to see, go right ahead. Go right ahead. I ain't judging you, but I would hope you will watch the rest of this video, because this is my list, and this list is kind of cool. All right, it's kind of cool. I love this list. All right, this year I put some thought into it. So let's begin. But of course, we can't do my top 10 favorite movies of 2024 without talking about the honorable mentions. These are for a movie that I thought was really amazing, but there was a few things that hold it back, or there was just a better movie that I just thought deserved the top 10 spot more. So without further ado, let me just go into those. Challenger, the Zendaya movie, fucking awesome. I could see why Tom Holland locked the fuck in on marrying Zendaya after this movie, because if you're not familiar with Euphoria and really getting to see Zendaya act, this is a great introductory to her. Another honorable mentions is not actually for a movie, but more for an event. The Spider-Man Movie Monday event. That whole experience was fucking awesome. Exhausting, but really fucking awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. The Bike Riders. Really interesting look into a subculture I'm not familiar with. And for me, what actually was interesting was there's a bit of a love triangle, but not in the typical way you think of it. So I recommend this movie. Bad Boys, Ride or Die. No one gives a fuck about that fucking slap. Because this movie's kind of awesome. Alright, this movie's kind of fun. So no one in the long haul cares about the fuck slap. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I can't believe they didn't fuck this up. This could have easily been the easiest fuck up, but they managed to keep the energy and the spirit of the other Planet of the Apes movies intact. Plus, I had the most fun theater experience because I went to like Florida and I saw this at like AMC theater in Orlando, Florida, that was like Disney themed, so that was cool. A Quiet Place Day One. Oh, this movie is fucking awesome. Not as good as the first two movies, but I really enjoyed this movie. And I had the funniest fucking theater experience because everyone in the background was like talking and shit. And I'm like, damn, we could have all fucking, if this shit was real in real life, we've all been fucking dead. All. Finito. Even the couple that was sitting next to me was like, yeah, we could have been fucked. Next, Sonic 3. I'm sorry, Sonic fans. I didn't enjoy this as much as you guys, but I do recognize that it is a good movie. And the quality level has significantly improved, but I just wasn't a huge fan of this movie. But I did have the most interesting theater experience because looking at the movie as a non-fan, it was interesting to see like how fans react to movies, and it was cool. It was definitely a cool experience. I definitely felt like a critic watching a movie with a bunch of fans. So I understand how people feel about Marvel, fans when they act up in a movie theater. I definitely got that feeling. Civil War, basically the last of Us, but with journalism. Pretty damn good movie, but it didn't make the cut. These next two ones hurt my heart. Monkey Man, fucking awesome movie. I want to give a huge shout outs to the director. I know this is his first time directing a fucking film. And listening to the interviews and how he even got this movie made was impressive. So that alone, I gotta give him props. And also, this movie is not what I expected, but there were other movies that just touched me more. But I gotta give him a huge shout out because that was impressive what he had to deal with just to make this movie happen. And last but certainly not least, Abigail. Abigail almost was in my top 10. Easily could have won, but you know, I could not pass up for what I put as number 10. But Abigail was definitely a fun ride. The movie is unintentionally funny, and again, I'm into vampire stuff, so this was definitely cool. And I want to give a huge shout out to the little actress that plays the vampire. She's fucking awesome. She's so cool. Like, so shout outs to her. For number 10, gotta start things off a little spicy, a little hot. For number 10, she had to fight and claw her way out of the dirt, out of the mud, but you know, she did it, man. She did it. At number 10, I gotta give it up to Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Listen, this movie was not anything I was predicting it was going to be. When I first heard the announcement of this movie, I wasn't really excited for it because I was expecting a Mad Max story. Come to find out, George Miller said, fuck that. I'm going to give you something that you're not expecting. I'm going to give you a whole cool world-building movie about Furiosa. And it's going to be the perfect prequel movie to Fury Road, one of my fucking favorite movies of all time. Fury Road, you know, and it gives you so much good insight into characters and whatnot from Fury Road that I feel like this is a great companion piece. Like, I would not let anybody watch Fury Road without watching this first because it does such a great job of giving you an idea of the world, the characters that you would meet in Fury Road, and it is just fucking awesome. And Anya Taylor-Joy is doing such a fantastic job in this film. She really becomes Furiosa by the end. But to me, the highlight of this film is my boy Chris Hemsworth is killing it as the villain. He is oozing charisma throughout the whole fucking film. Like, he is awesome. And I was just so impressed. This just goes to show you that just because you work for Marvel doesn't mean you can't fucking act. Like, he's acting his ass off and he's the most entertaining parts of this movie. So for that reason, I have to give it my number 10. Is it as good as Fury Road? No, it doesn't have that crazy octane action, although there were some really cool action sequence, and I could definitely tell they used more CG this time around. But overall, this was like a fucking banging ass movie, and George Miller should be proud of himself despite how poorly it did in the box office. For number 9 is gonna go to a movie that everyone's saying is kind of like a Cinderella movie gone wrong, or a Disney princess movie gone wrong, and I would have to agree with all that. So for number 9, I'm gonna have to give it to Honora. Like, this movie is fucking awesome. Like, this movie is so good because I think it touches upon the concept of sex work in a most unique and interesting way without saying that sex work is bad or looking down upon people. It really handles its topic of sex work very, very well. Like, I was very surprised when I was watching the movie of how well it handled the sex work. And as someone who's like pro sex work or is cool with sex work in general, it was very interesting to see how they handled it in a very nuanced way, because in a lot of media, way how sex work is portrayed is either you're fucking evil, you're murdered, you're a murder victim, or you're an asshole. And then this movie comes in as like, no, there's more to it than that. Yes, I'm gonna critique sex work. Throughout the course of this movie, it really is about how the working class people, including sex workers, because there are working class people, have different rankings, and how the rich views the working class people. And it was like very fascinating on that end. I also love how it really touches about the idea of transactional relationships. That is something that I don't think a lot of people talk about when they talk about sex work. And I was just very impressed by this movie. And the last thing I will say about this movie, it's fucking hilarious. When you get to the second act, after the rainbows and sunshine is out and whatnot, when you get to the second act and the shit hits the fan, it literally becomes a Three Stooges episode. And it is fucking hilarious. Of all the bullshit that goes down in the movie, but it's also so heartfelt near the end and sad near the end of showing the depictions of like the emotional damage that sex work has on people. Again, without being this disgraced or lectury, preachy type of movies. And for that reason, I gotta give it my number 9. Number 8, oh my goodness, number 8 is a bloody movie, man. When I saw we were like 40 minutes into the fucking film, or like 30 minutes into the film, and the title screen finally fucking hit, I was like, yeah, this movie's fucking hot. This movie is fucking lit, alright? This is how I knew. I was like, yeah, this movie is fucking awesome. And for number 8, we'll go to Kill. Kill is fucking awesome. Like, this movie is basically John Wick Bullet Train, alright? It is unrelentless, alright? The first act, you know, the first few minutes of the movie, you know, it's all peaceful and whatnot, and shit hits the fan, and then an incident happens. Oh man, it just keeps going and going and going, and it is unrelentless in terms of action scenes, bro. It is unrelentless, and it gets more vicious and more vicious as the movie keeps going. I'm like, Jesus Christ. It gets to the point where the robbers in the movie, I started feeling bad for them, because the fucking main character, he starts doing shit that I'm just like, bro, like, calm down. But at the same time, not to spoil anything, I completely understand why the fuck this man was wilding the fuck out, bro. He was wilding. He was at one point, this is a minor little spoiler, he was starting hanging his fucking victims. I'm like, bro, this movie is fucking awesome. This is everything I love about action movies. The camera work is pretty damn good. The action sequence, again, pretty damn good. And again, like, this is like Indian like action film, and it's like handled with so much care and love. And again, it's fucking brutal. And the brutalness gets better and better as it goes along. So for that reason, it's gotta go at my number 8. For number 7, you gotta forgive me. I'm gonna probably go on a little rant for number 7, because I truly believe this is something we need to talk about on the winning sauce of this franchise, this big conglomerate franchise. And their latest movie, you know, I wasn't looking forward to. And then when I finished watching it and I came out the theater with my friends and whatnot, I was generally like, you know, even my cynical heart had to admit I enjoyed this movie a lot. And this would go to, for number 7, Deadpool and Wolverine. This movie was so much fun. Like, I could not believe a lot of the things that this movie did. And I was very impressed. I already made a video on it, so I'm not going to go into it so much. But one of the things I really want to talk about in terms of this movie is kind of something that I realize is that Marvel has a secret sauce that no one, I don't think, talks about. I think the reason why Marvel succeeds so much, and I finally figured it out through this movie, and it took me like 20 fucking years to realize this. The winning formulas for Marvel and why they always succeed and why people love Marvel movies is because of the promise. And I remember when the first Iron Man movie came out, we had that post-credit scene. They said, we're going to do the Avengers. And I thought that was not going to be possible. And there's no possible way you're going to do the Avengers. No way. Movie comes out and it's a fucking hit. It's so fucking awesome. The first Avengers movie is fucking awesome. I don't care what nobody says. And then later on, they're like, we're going to make you fall in love and care about this ragtag group of people that James Gunn has worked on called the Guardians of the Galaxy, and we're gonna make you fall in love with a talking raccoon, and everybody's gonna have by the time we get to the third movie, you're gonna be crying your eyes out. And he did it with Guardians of the Galaxy. And then, you know, when Civil War came out, they were like, you know, man, it would be cool to get Spider-Man in it, and the whole Spider-Man community was like, you know, regardless of how you feel about it now, we were all pandering for Spider-Man to get in there. And what happened? Kevin Feige made it happen. He was like, yo, we got Webhead in here. We got him in here. And it was able to get Webhead in here. And then, you know, so much more, you know, so much of just giving the fans what they want. And Deadpool and Wolverine does that full throttle. Like, 20 years of waiting to see Wolverine in the suit, you know, some people may argue it wasn't worth it, some people may not, whatever may be the case, but it's that secret sauce of delivering the promise is what makes this movie so fucking awesome. And when I was sitting in the theater and everybody was losing their fucking minds when his full costume comes on. Everybody knows the scene I'm talking about. Everybody who watched the movie knows what I'm talking about. And the suit, the full suit comes on. And my theater erupted with nothing but happiness and joy. And I'm just sitting there, not saying a word, but has this cheesy smile on my face. I'm like, damn, 20 years of asking for this, and it looks exactly what I pictured it would look, was kind of worth it. I'm not gonna be like a particular YouTuber like High Tops Films or any other YouTubers that criticize this movie. It has problems, but man, I don't think it's better than Deadpool 1 and 2. I think those movies are more heartfelt and more focused on, you know, Deadpool as a character and whatnot. But I can't even lie to you and say I didn't have a good time with this movie. This movie was nothing but a pure blast. And again, like I said in my video, the simple fact that it acknowledged a lot of what made the Fox universe such a fun universe, despite it not always being perfect, to me is the icing on the cake. And for that reason, it's gotta earn the spot that it's given, man. It's gotta earn my number 7. For number six, I gotta give it up to this movie, man. I'm not even into like musicals like that. Like, I don't hate them, but I'm just not. It's not my jam. But I gotta say, when this movie finished, I literally applaud, and I literally said, "Eat that, Joker 2. This is how you do a fucking musical." And for that reasons, I gotta give Wicked to number 6. I gotta give Wicked that number spot, baby. This movie was fucking awesome, man. The music numbers and everything about this movie was on point. The way how the world works and the way how the world looked was so impressive. I was like, oh my goodness, if we wanted to remake Wizard of Oz, and if it was like done like this, I would be totally down. Like something like this. But like, this movie was fucking peak. All the musical numbers hit. My favorite one is Popular. Ariana Grande killed it in that. that musical, but everybody is just doing their shit. Obviously, the final song in the film is fucking awesome, but to me, what made this movie really click, Glinda and Elphaba's relationship blossom and ultimately into two different directions. Seeing that sisterhood was really, really dope. It happens in the halfway mark, but seeing that sisterhood and where it ultimately lead was so compelling. Like, I was like rooting for them to be besties throughout the whole movies, and when it happened, it was so good. And I was like, you know what, this movie's fucking awesome. But when that third act hit and decisions have to be made, I completely understand why certain things happen and why it had to happen that way. Like, I see a lot of people hating on my girl, Ariana Grande. I'm like, bruh, like, considering how the situation went down, there was no time to really think about decisions. But it was really cool to see that relationship floored and whatnot, and it really had me hooked. I was hooked throughout the beginning all the way to the end of this movie. Like, it was that fucking good. And you know, this was a musical I always wanted to see when I was a kid, so to see it in a movie format and seeing how they handled it was really good. And I can't wait for the sequel, hands down. The sequel is one of my most anticipated movies of 2025, but this movie was a banger. Shout outs to Wicked for number 6. Number 5, we are finally at the top 5. These next few movies are going to be bangers, nothing but bangers on the list. But this one, I know a lot of people's gonna say like, "Oh man, it don't deserve to be on top 5." But man, listen, I don't give a fuck. This movie may be the greatest hits of the franchise, but man, it's fucking doing a banging ass job being the great hits. All right, and for that reason, I gotta give number 5 to fucking Alien Romulus. Oh my goodness. Was this movie a fucking cool ass, amazing ass, gooped up, looped up movie. I loved every single fucking moment of Alien Romulus. Alright, this movie is nothing but a banger. Alright, like truly. You know, this movie felt like the prey of the Alien franchise, where it just strips it out of all this bullshit that, you know, whether you like it or not, wasn't really working for the Alien franchise, and just brings it back down to its roots, and making the fucking xenomorph scary and intense, making scenarios scary and intense and cool. There's so much cool ideas, like the fucking army of face hugger running away from them. I thought was a cool idea. I'd never seen all of them all at once, so that was a cool idea. Fucking like fucking running fucking the 0G moment. Oh my goodness. That straight up was like on some Dead Space shit. I was like, please, can we get a Dead Space movie? This shit was amazing. Like, bro, so many hit after hit. And yes, the movie is a greatest hit. There was moments where they're gonna call back to something or a character from the previous movies. And yes, there was one moment that made me cringe when they didn't do a callback to a previous movie. But by and large, holy fuck, this movie was awesome. And me and my friends were sitting there, and one of my friends, he's not even a huge horror fan, but even he was like, when we walked out, he was like, this movie's fucking amazing. The third act, I swear to God, up to this day, we still talk about the third act and how fucking horrified we all was watching that third act. And in my theater, it was quiet throughout the whole time. Well, it was like, oh my god, a few times. But we all unanimously all gasped out loud, like, what the fuck? At the third act. This movie was so fucking good. it truly goes to show you what happens when you get like a director who is generally loves the franchise and just want to honor it, and he comes in and makes a fantastic fucking movie. And as soon as I figured out who was directing this, I knew it was the director who did fucking the remake of Evil Dead. I knew this movie was gonna be a banger, and it so said it is, man. It is truly the fucking gooped up, ready to go. The Xenomorph lost weight, did weight loss, been lifting some pounds, and he feels ready to kick some ass type of movie. And for that reason, it deserved my number 5 spot. At number four, you know, very rare does movies creep me out or like have me generally like fidgeting sometimes in a movie theater. But man, Nosferatu, that fucking movie is so fucking creepy that I have to put it at my number 4, man. Like, generally, there was many moments where I was just sitting there and it just felt like this dark presence was over me. And I was like, shit, this movie is fucking awesome, man. And I want to give a huge shout out to Bill Skarsgård, bro. Like, oh my God, Pennywise, man, this man can act his ass off. Thank God he signed up for this role and he fucking nailed it. Because if I had to watch his performance in fucking The Crow, and that was the only shit he did this year, I was gonna fucking lose it. To me, he's the highlight of this movie. I could not even tell that it was Bill Skarsgård. Like, that's how impressive and how great he is as an actor. Like, he transforms in this movie. His voice sounds menacing and creepy, but the way how the camera and how they depict Nosferatu is so fucking awesome. Like, he feels like this really dark essence character. Like, he's never really shown, but you can just feel his dark presence around you and around the theater. When I went to watch it, it just led to a very intense movie-going experience. Like, the whole time I was just intense. I was like, fuck. Like, where is this fucking... Like, it was so good. But everybody also did good. Nicholas Hoult is fucking awesome. Johnny Depp's daughter is fucking amazing in this movie. She's also the highlight of the movie. I could not be happier for her. I was very worried about her after that god-awful Euphoria, but she is fucking amazing. Lily Depp is fucking amazing, man. I couldn't be more happier for her. And of course, Willem motherfucking Dafoe is the GOAT. You can't fuck with him. Everyone is giving their all in this movie, but the standout is my boy, Bill Skarsgård, bro. Bill Skarsgård is the GOAT. And again, this is from the same director who did Lighthouse, fucking The Witch. Oh, I love The fucking Witch. And The Northman, which I haven't watched, but I heard is really good. Robert Eggers, this man don't fucking miss, bro. This man don't miss. In the heat of battle, this motherfucker don't miss. He just knows how to fucking make great fucking movies. And he said like this was like a passion project. Like, he always wanted to do Nosferatu, but man, like, to see it be like this is like, holy fuck. It's like intense as fuck. And for that reason, I gotta give it my number 4 spot. Oh, and by the way, I love how he depicts fucking like vampires in this movie. Like, they're basically walking corpse. And I was like, that's a genius fucking idea, bro. Like, why didn't anybody ever think about that shit before? Like, yo, Robert Eggers is he's the GOAT. This man's the fucking GOAT. Just be warned, guys. Like, if you're a vampire, don't let the pussy, like, fucking, like, overcome you and forget to go back home. Alright? Like, pussy ain't that great to be forgetting that you're a fucking vampire. So, you know, there's that. So for number three is gonna be very hard for me to talk about because I feel like if you go in blind, you're gonna have an amazing experience. But for number three, I gotta give it up to The Substance, bruh. This movie is so fucking disturbing. It is so creepy. Everything's like heightened in a lot of ways. But man, the movie is also funny when it needs to be. It's sexy when it needs to be. It's sad when it needs to be. It's an amalgamation of so much, especially when you get to the third act. It makes sense, but it's an amalgamation of so much. But this movie is just so fucking cool. The aspects of this movie I really love about it, however, is really just the story and how it's told and how it really touches upon how we as society kind of really put a lot of emphasis on beauty at a certain age, and like how older beauty is looked down upon a lot as you get older. And it was very much really, this movie is a cautionary tale of letting that go to your head. And that's really all I'm gonna say on this movie. Everything else I think you should experience on your own because it is that fucking awesome. My friend just recommended it to me. He was like, I think you would really like this. And I'm fucking disturbed. Up to this day, I still have like so much like thoughts on that movie. There's so much shit that just creeps me the fuck out about this movie, but I can't talk about it without spoiling it, and for that reason I'm not gonna say anything more. But this is why it's at my number 3 spot. Go watch it. It's really fucking awesome. For runner-up of best movie of 2024 for me was a little movie that no one went to go see, that I even did not care to see it, but truly it is everything I wanted this franchise to be, and it really lives up to the tagline, "There's more to them than meets the eye." Transformers 1. This fucking movie, oh my goodness, this shit is peak Transformers. Alright, this movie is basically the first class of the Transformers movies. I just recently said that, Wicked really does a good job at exploring the friendships and the sisterhood of the two main leads. But man, this fucking movie really is showing like the brotherhood of friendships. And for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna call them Optimus and Megatron. It was so cool to see a friendship, buddy aspect to their relationship. They're always antagonistic, how we usually see them, and then occasionally they'll team up for something. But I never really thought of making Megatron and Optimus have this brotherly relationship that was so well handled in the movie. And when we eventually have to get them to opposite sides, because in this movie, the movie does such a great job of making Optimus like this character who isn't like the Optimus that we're used to, who's a true leader and everything. No, he's a rebellious motherfucker. This motherfucker doesn't give a fuck about authority or anything. To go from that to becoming Optimus that we know and love, it's fucking due. And shout outs to Chris Hemsworth again. Chris Hemsworth 2 times in a row. He kills it. He fucking he makes Optimus' voice sounds like fucking like how I envision his old man Thor to be. Like, I was like, bro, the way how he sounds so fucking cool. But even like Megatron and how he is this character who is literally follows the rules, is not a rule breaker, is very timid, to going to the Megatron we know and love from the series is really cool. And I want to give a huge shout outs because he's the highlight of the fucking film. Brian Tyree Henry is so fucking good. He is like the highlight of this shit, man. He has to convey so much of Megatron, and a lot of people would say like, oh, his descent to becoming Megatron was handled way fast, but no, it just made total sense that this character who really believed in the system and what it was saying basically gets his world shattered when he finds out the truth about it. And it was like, no, I'm never going to listen to authority ever again, was so believable. And it was because of Henry's performance that I bought it. I bought that whole brotherly love between them. And even when they got to the end and their friendship had to end, it was so beautiful how it was handled. I almost wanted to tear up because it was so powerful, that friendship. And again, this is a fucking movie I had no intentions of watching. I had no interest in watching this shit. But I just watched it one day just for the shits and giggles. And it just really disappointed me that this movie did so horrible in the box office. Or like nobody really went to go see it because of, you know, how it looked and also how it came off. The marketing was so atrocious for this movie. Like, oh my goodness, like no one at Paramount decided to promote this movie, and it's such a shame because it's literally my favorite Transformers animated movie, or my favorite Transformers movie in quite a while, man. Like, holy shit. So for that reason, it is my number 2, my runner-up. Number 1, you know, usually I give a drum roll, and I'll probably do a drum roll, but you know what? We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to put on some nice smoothing music. This music should tell you all what it needs to be for number 1. Dune Part 2. Ooh wee. Oh my goodness. Dune Part 2. I owe Denis Villeneuve a ton of apologies. I was so jealous of the first movie because, you know, it's a part 1 out of a 3-part story. And I really didn't like that it had so much unanswered questions and it wasn't satisfying. And a movie like this got a sequel, but motherfucking, like, a movie I really wanted to get a sequel didn't, which was Battle Angel Alita. But my God, I feel like I've tasted the fucking spice. I sniffed that shit, and now I got the blue eyes. Because this was fucking amazing. Truly an amazing spectacle movie. And there is so much to dissect of this movie, so much to talk about. But one of the things I could promise you, and I could tell you, if you didn't like the first movie, I think the second movie will make you way more invested into the world of Dune. Because not only I think the characters are better written, there's more action scenes, but more importantly, all the premonitions / visions that we got in the first movie are all explained in this film, given that this is a part 2. But my God, every one of the actors, from Tiffany Chalamet, oh my God, he's the GOAT. From Zendaya, everybody fucking kills it. And one of the things I love about this story, and it finally clicked to me, the pieces finally clicked to me on why I love this story. This is literally a story of the hero's fall to villainy. But one of the things I love about it is that for Paul Atreides, this wasn't intentional. Like, this wasn't like he purposely did this. Like, no, like his mom manipulated things to go in a particular way. And I'm like, man, like that is so cool. Like everyone's playing everyone in order to get what they need, including your own family member. And that was so cool, man. Oh my God. And then I had the most amazing theater experience. Like I watched this at a 7mm screening, and my God, at AMC, oh my goodness. And the cool part about that is that the whole movie, unlike a lot of the movies, even fucking Christopher Nolan when he did Oppenheimer, the whole movie wasn't shot in 7mm. No, this whole movie goes 7mm, even when characters are talking. And I was like, whoa, this is impressive. Like, I think this is the only movie I've seen that did the whole fucking movie in 7mm. And it looked amazing. All the shots, everything just looked fantastic. Oh my goodness. Like, it is so impressive what Denis Villeneuve did with this fucking movie, bro. Like, this man was cooking. I didn't see the cook, all right? I didn't taste the food on the first one, but when he brought up that gourmet A1 type shit, I was on board. I was like, this fucking movie is impressive, all right? Like, this movie is just firing at all cylinders, man. Like, I was just like so impressed by this movie, man, to the point when the movie was over, I literally just got up and I was like, bro, what the fuck? I need to know what happens in Dune Messiah, all right? I know things are gonna get worse before they get even better for the Fremen, but I was so hooked. I'm like, motherfucker, you know, it is so good. And, you know, Tiffany Chalamet, again, bro, he's a fucking champ. You know, again, he conveys so much of himself in this movie. And that's the thing I love about this movie, is that so many characters convey their emotions by just looking at each other, or just looking. Just by looking, you convey so much about a character. And by the time we hit to the third act, Paul becomes a completely different character. I love the fact that Paul is just simply, you know, because he is this prince, basically, who was heavily trained by the best of the best. He's seen as this messiah, but in actuality, he's not. Probably anybody who had extensive training like him would have been able to do all the shit that the Fremen found interesting. But because his mom was like leading him into this path, like, it was so great. It was almost like this prophecy that they kept talking about throughout the whole movie, in my humble opinion, does not exist. It's a fade. I'm just like, fucking Shawnee. Like, I don't think this shit is real. And I know a lot of people, that's another thing. I know a lot of people don't like Shawnee because they changed it for the book, but it was cool to see to get a perspective of the Fremen that wasn't like, oh my God, we all believe in this Messiah. Because in real life, not everybody's gonna believe in the religion that they even born into, or a prophecy or anything like that. So it was cool to get that perspective. I wish we'd lean more into that, but man, it was so good. And then, like, oh my God, we get to a fucking the Baron's fucking world. Oh my goodness, I had to cough just now. My apologies, guys, but oh my goodness, when we get to the Baron's world and it's all in black and white, and even explosions are in black and white, I was like, what the fuck? My God, this movie easily the best movie of 2024. Like, ever since I watched it, I could not stop thinking about it. I literally rewatched the fucking first movie and loved the first movie even more. Again, Denis Villeneuve, or Villeneuve, I probably butchered his name throughout this whole fucking video, is a fucking champion. He is truly an amazing director, and he should be praised for his fucking work, man. And he said he got one more in him, and I'm like, bro, I know you're gonna kill it. Don't worry about it, bro. You got one more, give us that one more, and then get the fuck out, bro. Get the fuck out. Cause they talk about let you do all the Doom movies. Nah, do your 3 and get the fuck out, bro. Cause you fucking killed it for part 2. I can't wait. I need part 2 now. I need it now. I want more. We need more. With all that being said, that's gonna do it for my top 10 movies of 2024. If you're new to the channel, please comment, rate, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let me know what was your favorite movie of 2024. And without further ado, that's gonna do it for the video. I'm out. Peace the fuck out. And once again, Happy New Year's, everybody.